In that role, she's responsible for strategic operations of the firm. She also engages in working with clients and consulting and coaching. She's the author of a wonderful book called Working Simply, and I just happen to have a copy here. I'm going to hold up so you can see. This was published a number of years ago, several years ago now, and it's based on some work that she did in her master's program, and then turned that into quite a well-documented tool and resource that's being used by many individuals and companies around the country. Her views have been included on some top-tier business publications, including the Bloomberg, Newsweek, Business Insider, CBS Money Watch, Fast Company, Forbes, Harvard Business Review blog, New York Times, U.S. News, USA Today, and Working Mother, among many others. And so she is not only a great alum of our master's program in organization development, but is also a terrific resource and expert in the field of working productively and working in career environments. Her most upcoming book, I should say, will be released in October, and it has a very long title, but it's a wonderful description. I had an opportunity to talk with Carson when she was in the early phases of developing this, and it's a great title and very descriptive of what's coming. And the title is On It, Love It, Make It Work. And the subtitle is How to Turn Your Current Job into Your Dream Job. Excuse me. Prior to starting Working Simply, Carson worked in human resources as well as sales functions for a Fortune 200 company. She holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from Washington and Lee University and a master's, as I've mentioned, in organization development from Queens, along with her coaching certificate from Queens. She serves on the board of advisors for the McCall School of Business, as well as for our master's in OD program. And I'm wonderfully grateful for the work that she has done in the last year as the chairperson for a scholarship fund to endow scholarships for the McCall School's master's in OD program. And with her leadership, we've raised over $350,000. So terrific contribution, not only to the university, but to our students, and a great asset that our Carson is for so many and serves so much for what we do here at Queens. So without any further delay, let me turn this over to Carson, who's going to talk with us this evening and share a few of insights about what it's like to be a graduate student and some things that can be done in order for you to be more productive and manage the time constraints that we all face. So Carson, welcome. Thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
John, thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and thank you all. I know that it's even a little bit more crazy probably in everyone's lives right now, and really appreciate you carving out the time to be here tonight. And full disclosure, I'm clearly a raving fan of Queens and the McCall School and the MSOD program, and I'm just thrilled that so many of you are here and are interested. So the big question for most of us, I think, is, okay, I want to go back to grad school, but where in the world am I going to find the time? And I was in your shoes not too long ago, and for the first thing to think about is kind of like a puzzle piece, right? You've got your day job, then you've got friends, you've got family, you've got your health, you've got outside interest, maybe you like to watch TV. That's probably not going to happen a lot, I can tell you, in grad school, but it's all about trying to put the puzzle pieces together. So I'm going to share a couple of thoughts in 3 different areas just to help you think about how you can make this happen for yourself. And the big thing to remember is that there's no one size fits all. We're all unique, and everybody's approach and everybody's puzzle is different and beautiful. And so I'm going to give you some big ideas, big kind of concepts and things that have worked for me and worked for our clients, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end. So make sure you're writing down any questions that you have. John will help moderate that. So let's talk about time. So talk about how we can invest our time. We all have the same 168 hours in a week. And if we're going to carve out time for grad school, how do we do that? And then I'm going to talk about managing your attention. I think we all probably in the last few days really learned a lot about managing our attention with so many distractions. And grad school is another distraction, and having to study and write papers again. And how do you do that at home can be hard. And so how do we look at that? And then your email volume is going to go up. And so we've got to be thinking about how you manage your inbox just through correspondence with your classmates and your professors. You'll probably use an online portal as well, but your email probably will spike. So when we think about time, we talk about time as a commodity, something to be invested for your highest return. And this is a paradigm shift for most of us, and at least it was for me. Many years ago, I was given a book called The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. Maybe some of you have heard of this. It was a New York Times bestseller. And Randy had a video that went viral on YouTube. And in his book and in that video, he talks about this concept of time as a commodity, that you can go and earn more money later, but what you're never going to get back is this time. And so are you thinking about your time in the same way that you think about your money? And it's probably more important. So it's a shifting and thinking about our priorities and thinking about every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And so when we think about the decision to go to grad school, it's a yes and an investment in you and your future and your family and your community. And it's a pretty significant choice because you're making this investment now for a long-term return. And so as we think about fitting these puzzle pieces together and how to make this investment work, we're going to be thinking about something called an investment statement, or in our world, that's your calendar. So if time is a commodity to be invested for your highest personal and professional return, at any point we have an accounting of those choices that you've made. And your calendar is going to become one of your best friends if it isn't already in grad school, because it really is fitting the pieces together of your work day, your class time, time to study, time to write, time to prepare, and how do you make that investment statement work for you? And knowing that it's a yes now and some things are going to fall off so that you can make that commitment in the future. So I want to pause for a second. I just want you to think about that concept of time as a commodity, and is it being something that's non-renewable and even more valuable than the dollars in our wallet, and how grad school connects with that. I'm just going to pause for a second, let you think about it. And think about what saying yes now to grad school will mean for you and your family. And so if you're open to it, I'd love for you to start putting some comments in the chat. So you can type into the chat and we can revisit those at the end around what this investment would mean for you. Now let's look for some strategies. So you know your time is a commodity to be invested. You've got your calendar, your current accounting of how you're using your time, and then the commitment and the investment of your graduate school work, the investment in you and your career and your family. So now I want to just give you a couple of strategies around how to maximize those 168 hours in a week, because you're definitely going to end up stretching them. And the first one is the concept that we use all the time. We call it time yourself, because so many of us are not great at really knowing how long things actually take. So this literally is, you set the timer on your phone or on your computer as you start a task, and then when you finish it, you click stop. And this is so important in grad school for two reasons. One, we need to really be precise and be able to allocate your time. And if you don't know how long it takes you to process 20 emails or how long it takes for you to read 50 pages, then it's very difficult to really set up that investment statement. The second reason this is really important is because I've not met many folks that are thinking about grad school that don't like a goal and aren't goal-oriented. So once we have the data, or we know how long it takes you to process 20 emails, read 50 pages, then what we can do is set a goal. So let's say, for example, it takes you 17 minutes to read and process 20 emails, pretty quick. What I'm going to ask is, can you do it in 14? Can you do it in 13? So what we're doing now is we're giving a little bit of a push. We're giving you a goal, and then I get a little bit of the adrenaline as you really focus your attention to get that work done. The second strategy was a must-have for me in grad school, and it was something that we call now protect your 90. And so it's 90 minutes a day that's focused on your goals, your task, and these really high revenue projects. And the value of this and the way this one works is that it's 90 minutes a day, but over 5 days, that's 7.5 hours, which is a significant amount of time. And so the other thing that I liked about this is that it allowed me to work in like short little chunks. So I wanted 90 minutes over a day, but it could be 30 minutes early in the morning, could be 20 at a lunch, could be 30 minutes while I'm sitting and waiting somewhere. But the goal at the end of the day is that it's 90 minutes focused time on that high value task. And if you chunk your work out this way, I can assure you, you can get a paper written in 7.5 hours, just in little chunks. Then another strategy that I used all the time and still use is something called a 15-minute list. Because what happens in grad school is life gets kind of compressed, and some of the personal items tend to fall to the wayside, like haircuts and the dog's vet appointment was always late, filling out forms. And so the 15-minute list is a great list of these short, quick things that you need to do personally and professionally. So I need to call and get my dogs scheduled for their annual dog physical. I also need to prep for a one-on-one meeting with one of my team members. These are easy things that you can do in less than 15 minutes. And this list becomes a powerful tool in 2 ways. One, it allows you to capitalize on what we call the micro segments of your day. And you know what I'm talking about. You're waiting for the conference call to start, or you're waiting in line, or you're standing somewhere. This used to be me all the time in the TSA lines, not anymore right now. But if you pull out this list while you're waiting, you can actually start to execute. So we can turn these micro segments of dead time into productive time and get stuff done. It's also really powerful in terms of procrastination. So I'm sure none of you ever procrastinate, but I know at times I do. And that list was a great go-to when I didn't feel like doing anything. I just didn't really want to do anything. And so if I went here first, I could cross some things off. For those of you that have been known to put something on a list you've already done just so you can mark it off, this is a great feeling. So these were quick, easy wins. I got some forward momentum. I had a sense of accomplishment. So then I could dive into that assignment. Then I could dive into that project at work. The next strategy is about getting work done in as efficiently way as possible by batching and structuring your day around similar tasks. And so what I mean here is that you group like items. So if you were doing email, you're just doing email. So we're batching all the emails that you need to send, and you're also doing the ones that you need to respond to together. If you need to make phone calls, you're making phone calls. When I'm doing research, I'm just doing research. What happens is you get more and more efficient as you stay in the task. And we also lose these micro segments of wasted time as you switch between tasks and you switch between different regions of your brain. So you would literally structure your to-do list, your calendar, if you're using that as part of your to-do list, and you would group similar tasks together on the list and on your calendar. Now, if that sounds like too much structure to some of you, and it might, then the other way you can group or batch task is something that we call theme days or theme blocks. And so this is for my folks that tend to be more big picture thinkers. And so what this looks like is like Monday, the theme would be admin. And let's say Tuesday, the theme is I'm doing research and sales. But what you're doing is you're looking at the core task in your job, and then you're looking at the core deliverables that you have in grad school, and you're blocking them around themes. So it could be a whole day, like Monday or Tuesday, or it could be theme blocks from the morning time for me is this theme, and the afternoon time is this theme. But it's important, if you're thinking about grad school and the puzzle pieces here, that the theme days, the batching of the task, the 15-minute list include both your task, your to-dos for work and life, and then also what's required for you to complete in grad school. All right, that's a lot I threw at you. So I'm gonna give you another minute to digest. So questions, what's coming up for you? Back to that time as an investment statement. What are you thinking there? And then what, if anything, would you think would help you as you think about saying yes to grad school and managing your time? Okay, hopefully there's some stuff coming in the chat. I can't present and watch chat at the same time. I wish I was that good. All right, so now let's talk about attention. We know that time is a commodity to be invested. You've got 168 hours in a week, and this is an investment in you and your career and your family. And by saying yes to grad school, we know you're going to be saying no to some other things, but it's that long-term yes that you're saying yes to. The second thing to think about is the attention management. At least it was for me. How are you going to manage your attention when you're working at home and trying to get your work done? And I think all of us are probably realizing the fridge, the TV, the dogs, the roommates, the kids, it's a lot. So a couple of strategies here. So when we think about distractions, there are 4 primary distractions that most of us face. External, so we all know what that is. It's someone coming over and interrupting you, your work day, coming by your cube or your office. It's also if you're at home and studying and it's your partner may be coming by, your kids are coming by, or maybe they turn on the TV. I was on a conference call with a prospective client 2 days ago, and my prospective client asked me, "Oh, do you have a daughter?" I was like, "Oh yeah, but why?" My daughter was in the back putting bunny ears on my head. It was lovely. So we have external. Then emergencies. In our work, we all have things that are emergencies, last minute deadlines, a client didn't get what they needed, and that creates a distraction because you have to drop everything and run. Technology, how many times has your phone gone off while we've been together? It distracts us all the time. And then the fourth one is internal. This is where we self-interrupt. So if you've ever found yourself, I'm sure none of you have ever found yourself doing this, you're working on a project, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go see what's going on my Instagram account. That's an internal interruption. So I'm going to give you a couple of thoughts around how to eliminate all of these, particularly as they relate to grad school. So let's start with the internal interruptions. Breaks. And the best breaks involve movement. So if you've been studying about 60 minutes or so, it's time for a break. Stand up, move, walk around your room, go up and down some stairs. And a break is not checking your email because that's cognitively demanding. What we're trying to do to keep ourselves from interrupting ourselves is to give ourselves enough breaks so your brain can rest and recover. So movement's great. I love humor, funny videos. I'm a big fan of dance parties. So your favorite song, dance it out, and then go back in. It's really difficult for us to focus and concentrate much past about 60 minutes. Technology, you've heard it before, but I think it is so important, particularly in grad school when you're trying to get some work done, is just to turn it off. All notifications, any push notifications, it's just too distracting. And one thing that we've had to institute in the Tate household is when we are done for the day, we literally put our phones, our cell phones in a drawer and close it. We need to make sure we can't even see them because the visual cue is so distracting. Emergencies, we know they're going to happen. You absolutely know they're going to happen. So obviously, if you can turn things in early or plan for it, that's helpful. But I think more importantly, particularly professionally, this is about after action reports. What happened and what can you do differently? That's going to really save you so much time. And then external interruptions. Some of my favorite ones working from home, headphones. Get yourself a great pair of headphones. I love it. I've been known to work in a closet, literally, just to literally hide. I also think the library at Queens is magnificent, and it's one of the best places to hide so you're not tempted. There's not a lot to do in there other than your work. So we don't have a lot of internal interruptions. And then the external interruptions, a lot of folks won't talk to you. So think about where you get distracted. We all know this. And then what's going to be your strategy? What are you going to do to preempt where you know you're going to be hijacked? All right, last but not least, we got to talk about those inboxes because they're full now. Professionally, they are just probably bulging, and they're going to get a little bit more full in grad school. So I want to make sure you've got some strategies. Also, the other thing that we think about with your inbox is that we spend about 41% of our day managing our inboxes. And so we want to find as much time as we can to make sure that we can invest that in our schooling, in our graduate school. So when we think about taming your inboxes, we think about automation. I don't like rework, and I love technology that enables me to automate. And so I want you to think about, would it be possible to have a personal assistant living in your inbox? I mean, think about how cool that would be. Like they could send emails for you, they could file them, they could remind you of to-dos. It is possible, and it actually already exists now. So the technology that you have in Outlook, that you have in Gmail, that you have in Lotus Notes if you're on that, is so powerful and functions very much like an assistant, which allows you to automate. So rules. It's a really powerful automation tool. So rules allow you to set up conditions and criteria or tell Outlook or Gmail how to process both incoming and outgoing messages based on what you want it to do for you. So powerful. And most of our clients, if they've never used rules, save about 2 hours a week. That's substantial professionally. That's even more substantial when we're thinking about grad school. So where can you automate some of your email processing using this tech called rules? The easiest place I tell all of our clients to start is any emails that you get that are reading, like you just need to read and absorb the contents. I want to write rules. So all of my journals, all of my newspapers, continuing education, any of those things that you're just getting, it might be travels sites that you like that send you newsletters, all of those we can write rules and send them to a folder. The folder I label read, and then we batch process. So when I've got time, I open my reading folder. Outlook has sent all of my reading material that I've been receiving into this one folder, and I just start scrolling and going. Now, there's one rule that we encourage everyone to use, and we call it the waiting for rule. And this is important because how often during your day are you sending emails to folks and you're asking them for something? Can you send me the deck? Have you read this article? What do you think about this? Can you come to this party? Last one's a fun one. And you just want to, you've got to follow up, right? You just got to keep track of it. Well, I don't want you to have to try to remember it because your brain's abysmal at that. And I certainly don't want you spending your time fishing in sent items. I know I've sent it, but I don't know if I've gotten it back. So what you do with the waiting for rule is every time you send a message, so it's from you, you're going to CC yourself on that outgoing message. And that message is going to be automatically moved by Outlook into a folder you call waiting for or follow-up items or pending. And so now you have one central repository where you can check all these open loops. So you never overlook an open item again. Really helpful in managing deadlines that you're going to have professionally, and also can be helpful managing deadlines in grad school. And then the last strategy for my visual folks who like color, we can color code incoming messages. So if you think about what a great assistant does is they help you triage. You know, you need to read this first, second, and third based on priority. We can also do that in our inboxes using color. And you can color code emails based on who they're from or where your name appears. So I always suggest that you color code first. We're talking to our professional clients that you color code first those emails from your manager, because I don't want to overlook those. So I might color code my manager's emails red. So what would happen is I'd set up that condition. Outlook would do it automatically. Gmail does this as well, automatically for you. And so every time my manager sends me an email, what happens in my inbox, I have black and then I see red. So their emails coming in red makes it very easy, to visually pick out what I need to read first, second, and third. You can also do it based on where your name appears. So if you work for a company that CCs a lot, and that's just part of your culture, you can write this color coding condition so that every time an email is sent to you, so your name appears in the to field, it comes in a specific color. I find this helpful because if an email is sent to me, I own the action. So in terms of priority, I want to read the email sent to me first, and then I'll work my way through the CC emails. You've got a really exciting decision in front of you, and I don't want you to get hung up in thinking about the time and how do I make the time for this really powerful investment. Got a couple of strategies and tools. You can make different investment decisions. You can manage your attention, and you've got some powerful technology at your fingertips to help you manage your email. So I'm going to end with a quick story around why this work in the productivity space is so important and why I think you're on the cusp of a really powerful and important decision to go to grad school. So it was December 26th, obviously the day after Christmas, and my job was to figure out why the strand of the Christmas tree lights was burned out. That's the worst job ever. So I take it off the Christmas tree and I sit on our den floor and I realize I don't have the replacement bulb. So I go to stand up and I can't get off the floor. I'm completely physically exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted. Even my soul is tired. 10 days before, we celebrated my daughter's first birthday, and we did it with a cake the size of a giant castle. I now know that's called working mom guilt. And as I sat there on the floor thinking about our birthday, I thought about her first year of life. 6 weeks after my daughter was born, I got on a plane and I flew to Arizona and worked with a financial services company. And I followed that pattern the entire first year of her life. On the road, building our business, and driven by my ego. So if I'm out there and I'm building the business and I'm helping people, that feels great. But as I sat there on the floor on the 26th of December, I realized because of the choices I made, I didn't have any significant memories of my daughter's first year of life. And in that moment, I had to make some tough decisions and do things differently. And one of the most significant decisions that I made was around investing my time and investing my time for my highest return personally and professionally, and getting really clear on what I said yes and no to, and doubling down on all of the strategies, plus many more that I showed you tonight. I'm so excited for where you're sitting. This is a really, really great opportunity. Queens is a phenomenal university, or you wouldn't be on this call, as I know. So I'm going to stop and answer any questions and then ship it back over to you, John. So John, you want to do the questions? Do we have any questions?
Yeah, I was just looking here. One question that's come in is it possible to over-organize by having too many small folders?
Yes, it is. And so typically what we recommend for our clients is 5 to 7 email folders. I know that some folks might have just cringed on me. So these 5 to 7, and you can nest some underneath, but we really have to remember the Pareto principle, and 80% of what you put in a file folder in your email inbox, you never go back to. So we really encourage our clients 5 to 7. And then before you put something in the folder, there are 5 questions I would encourage you to ask yourself. The first one is, do you need to keep it for record retention, compliance, or regulatory reasons? Of course, you keep that. You know what yours are, you'll do that. The second one is, what's the worst thing that would happen if you deleted it? It's not really gone. It's in deleted items, and most of us have copies elsewhere, which leads to the third question: where else can you find it? Is it on your SharePoint site? Does a colleague have it? Is it on the internet? Find it somewhere else. And then retrieval. When would you go back for it? So we don't talk about it as a filing system, it's a retrieval system. So when am I going to retrieve this data? And if you can answer that question, then we might consider putting it in there. And the fifth question, is your inbox the best place to save it? Because we all have storage limits. So is it better saved on a SharePoint site with a project folder or somewhere else?
That's great. Another question has come in about calendars and having multiple calendars. I know as we're living in this all working at home mode, or most of us working at home mode, we don't have a lot to coordinate with other people right now. But what's your recommendation in terms of having one calendar, multiple calendars, a work calendar, a school calendar, a family calendar, however that might show up? What are your thoughts about that?
Mm-hmm. So before I answer, I just want to reiterate that there is no one size fits all, and that there is no perfect productivity solution. It's the solution that works best for you and optimizes your performance. That's ultimately our goal. Now, what we recommend for most of our clients is that they have a holistic picture of all of their date and time specific commitments. So what that means, if it's holistic, that we've got personal and professional on the same calendar. And so what that does mean, though, is that you're thoughtful about permissions and you make the appropriate things private. But I do like for my clients to be able to see all of their commitments, because I can't tell you how many times I've had clients miss personal things because they were just working off of their professional calendar for that day. Time got away from them, and then they missed something that's important to them personally.
Very good. I have one, and I've noticed that you're so good at this, Carson, and I'm not so good. In fact, I'm not so good to the point that last year for my birthday, somebody gave me this this little sign that I have at my desk, because I have a hard time saying no. And you are, so tell us what's your secret to being able to say no or not now?
Oh, John, I mean, that's like the doozy of a question, right? I think it's really hard. Yes, that's a doozy one. I think it's hard. What helps, I'm just going to answer it for me personally. So what helps me personally say no is clarity around what really matters to me. So getting really clear on what's important to me. The other thing that makes it really easy for me to say no are some guidelines and rules. So for example, I shared the story about my decision and my daughter and traveling. One of the rules that I have and my team holds me accountable to is I will not be on the road for 3 consecutive nights unless it is an extraordinary case. So it's very easy to say no, because that's a guideline, kind of a rule that we have in place. I have a hard stop at the end of my day to spend time with my family. And so that's an easy no when they're asked for evening events, because that's a commitment that I've made. I also have to think about, sometimes is the no a short-term no that I can say yes to later. So for example, we have an MSOT meeting, board meeting next Monday. I had to decline. I don't like to decline, but that was a no, so that I could say yes to my manuscript for my book is due on the 6th. So that's a no right now, but I'm going to be able to say yes later.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking time this afternoon and saying yes to us. And thank you for giving us these great tips. I always learn something from you. And you are the master of productivity, and recognized for that. It's certainly a valuable resource to all of us. And I'm so glad to not only have you as an alum, but also have you as a colleague and a friend. So thank you very much for taking time today. And I think we're going to transition here to Melissa, who's going to talk about how we're going to break out into small group sessions. So thank you, Carson. We'll give
Thanks,
you all
John,
a
thank you, guys.
Yeah,
you're making a great decision.
Yeah. Thank you, Carson. Yeah, I mean, that was so timely for me personally. It's just really, with everything going on, it was nice to hear those, the strategies. And tomorrow I'll put them in place. But today, we're going to transition into small breakout groups. I have assigned into 4 areas where we have our master's program. So there's a business breakout group for our MBA and MSOD, those who have interest in that. We have an education breakout group for our MEL, Masters in Educational Leadership, MAT, Masters in Teaching, and then our MED programs, Masters in Education. We'll have a communications breakout group for our Masters in Communication, and we have a Masters in Fine Arts. And lastly, we have a breakout group for healthcare, which will have MHA and our Masters in Health Administration and Masters in Nursing. So I'm going to click a button and magic is going to happen, and you're going to go into these groups and everything is going to work perfectly. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Oh, if you need to come back, just click leave the room. You'll come back to me and I'll put you in a different room if you need to go somewhere. Here we go. So we had one healthcare student and that person didn't show up, but we're in a room together anyway.
Okay. I figured I'd be in a room with Annette. I could talk to her.
Yeah, and Bill's here too. So, and then I'm going to jump into MFA because their student didn't show up either. So I'll see you in the big room.
Okay. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Melissa.
Hello. So we didn't have a student in your group. Oh, I froze in an awkward position. I hate it when that happens. But I just wanted to make sure the breakout groups worked. Leanna, do you know Melissa? Melissa, do you know Leanna? Leanna's on our Wiley team. And
yes.
Okay. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just use this space to introduce each other.
Thank you.
Great. I'm so impressed, Melissa, with the breakouts. You said magic was going to happen, and magic indeed happened.
I've never seen that. I did not know that was an option, so I've learned something here.
My heart's racing a little bit because I was like, this is when I end the meeting.
No, you did great.
Oh my gosh. But okay, so Melissa, we could do this for your residencies.
Yes, I was one reason I was so anxious to see kind of how this happened because we're trying to put some plans in place, and I thought, oh yeah, this would be a time to kind of get the participants perspective.
I was your guinea pig.
Great.
It worked. I'm so glad it worked. But I love this. I love that we can like send people to teams, and then when I say I'll click a button and everybody gets back together.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's magic.
I can't wait for you to show me how this works.
Okay. All right. We can have more sessions. My whole life is Zoom right now. Like this right here is back in my enrollment days. I still have it. I used to have one that was bedazzled with diamonds.
Oh.
Beautiful.
But it works so good.
That's
All
You
right.
just gave me an idea for a craft project.
Right? This, like Swarovski crystals. What is that? Who are they? Is it Swarovski?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Swarovski.
Yeah. Let's put some crystals on there. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go back and pop in another room, make sure it's all working.
Okay,
Are we
great.
supposed to stay and then we'll join back with the big group later?
Yeah. Or you can, if you want to leave, you can go back into the big room now. It's still open.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll
And
be
how
in
do
there
I
in a
do
minute.
that?
Yeah, how do we go? How do we go back? Oh, leave the breakout room. If you mouse, Leanna, if you just move your mouse on the bottom of the screen.
I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
All righty. In 3D. I'm going to pronounce your name. I hope I don't mess it up. Is it Indrani? Can you hear me? I see a name on the screen, but I don't know who it belongs to. Oh, Indrani. I'm going to put you in the education group because that's, I think, where you want to be. Hold on 1 second. Maybe it'll work.
Least a 3.0 to qualify for the GRE waiver. The third step would be we would need for you to submit 2 letters of recommendation, a personal statement, as well as a resume. Okay, and so those would be the admissions documents and the process you would need to complete. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, tuition, financial aid, of course, financial
Melissa, I'm going to hang up. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yes. Did you say something?
I said thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Have a good
Have a
night.
great evening.
You too.
All right.
Be healthy.
Yes, you as well. I think I'm going tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Harris Teeter has he can go shopping advantage tomorrow.
Ooh. Well, I might need to leave the house soon.
You might, yeah. Give me your shopping list.
Right. Thank you.
Right. Talk to you later.
Okay. So I know that COM was still finishing up their meeting. I'm going to dip into education and see where they are.
Students' paths and what you want to do individually. But the plan just shows what you could do, but you want to, what you're comfortable with. I want to back up a little bit when you were talking about you're worried about making sure you can make the commitment and get things done. Right now, if you're motivated, the things that you said at the very beginning, you seem motivated right now. Now's the time you want to do it. And so now's the time that I would jump on it and go ahead and do that, so that you're not a year from now saying, oh, I've lost that whole year. What Carson was saying, I've lost that whole year, and you can't get that year back. I would go ahead and start. You could start with 2 classes. Should you think that's too much, you could go back to 1 class a semester. We, a lot of times, I know this semester or last semester was one that students, they're in cohorts usually, and so they decided, oh, we want to finish fast and we want to finish together. So some only had 2 courses to take. Some said, oh, we're going to do the 3 together with that support, because it's
I think we can leave COM to finish up, and education's still going. So I think they can probably leave from there, unless you think we need to bring them back, Elizabeth.
No. I'm going to start my video. We've got Leanna and we've got Kyle and
Ronnie, I believe, was interested in education, but I can't hear her if she's talking.
okay. So did she not get, I guess she didn't get into the breakout session?
She
Okay.
didn't come up on the list either, so I wonder if there's something like in the breakout list of who could join what. So we might just follow up with her,
Yeah.
directly. I'll send the information to Summer.
Yep. Well, I will, and I'll follow up with you later. And I hope you have a good night.
You too. You too. And I recorded it, so ask Carson if we can
Yes.
do something with it for content.
I will. Thank you very
You're
much.
awesome.
All right. Bye.
So Kyle and Leanna, I don't know. I think call it a day.
Yes, I was thinking if they're not pulling everybody back in. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
So
thank you for coordinating this.
No problem. You know what? It was low turnout, but 4 out of the 16 or whatever is not bad for an impromptu virtual, actually.
Right.
So,
And yeah, everything that's going on, plans change and whatnot. So, okay. Well,
So
like I said, I learned something with being able to do the breakouts through that. That's pretty cool.
breakouts are cool. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to set up my waiting for file. And I'm going to hope that the other people on the call aren't doing that for me.
All right. Well, you have a good night.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, Melissa. So I think education and comm are still talking, but oh no, there's Tim. So maybe they're coming back in.
Yep, we just finished up.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So MBA finished and healthcare finished. So
Good.
I think it was okay.
Good.
I mean, for pulling it together at the last minute.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I
So,
think the technology, everything went smooth. That was good.
right? I know. When I was about to hit the button, I was like,
You're
oh
good.
my God. Oh my, I wish I had a glass of wine.
There's some good lines too.
Just off screen, Melissa, just off screen.
I like how
But it worked. It
you
worked.
did. I like how you were funny too. Like, and magically you're going to go. And it was good.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it happened. It worked. Well, and I've had so many, like Ring Central failed on me twice today.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, not tonight.
But also, I
not
think
tonight.
because of high volume too. So don't,
Mhm.
so it's been happening.
Yeah. All right. Well, so how'd it go with your student?
I think good. I think we got right to the chase. And what I did is, since they didn't have a lot of questions, I was really selling on some of the things I overlook.
Yeah.
About what things they can get involved with. I talked about all the equipment and the podcast studio,
Oh,
all
good.
the stuff they can do as a student. So I was just kind of really selling them on those things. So
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because you had two.
we had 3.
You had 3 students?
Who was the Kelly? I didn't see her on the list. Who was that?
Kelly is a Wiley recruiter.
Got it. Okay, so she was trying to listen. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So we had 2. Okay.
Yeah. So we had a bunch of Wiley people in here, which not bad.
Well, that's why I said, is Bill one of the Wiley people? Why did Rich have a t-shirt on? I was like, what is he? I was like, what's going on?
Right? Like I got a jacket.
I know. Or at least he could have not had his video on. I was like, who is this Bill guy? Like,
oh, I know. Speaking of clothes, I got a sweater that I can't wait to show you, Chiquita, because
Okay.
it's like Letterman's kind of style. I can't wait for you to see.
Nice.
I know, so cute. I was like, Chiquita would like this one.
Yes. Well, I wish we had more to attend, but
Yes, I know. Me too.
5 students I have to aggressively track down because we need those students. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I recorded that content, so we can send it to those students.
Oh,
Like,
good.
here's a link. Here's, you were unable to make it or whatever, but
Good.
so we have content to send.
you know what I even thought about too, if students want to do a Ring Central with me and a professor, or me and an alumni student, student who's graduated from the program, that might be helpful as well, because you get to hear their perspective, or
Yeah,
you get to hear the professor talk about the curriculum. So maybe that's helpful too.
I think so.
Yeah.
A panel, right?
Yeah,
we
Melissa.
post that as an event.
We could do
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Yeah, we got to get creative here. We got to get creative here.
It's gonna get weird before it gets better.
Yeah. But we do, like I said, next time we're going to have to think about the format, and we got to adapt to it. We got to.
Yeah. Okay, so from this, I would have, if better to have the breakout groups for longer, the speaker for shorter.
But also I said that's if I would have been part of the process, that would have been my suggestion, is that you have the breakouts to start with, and then you end.
It was all Chiquita's fault.
No.
Okay, I'll take
Just, I mean, I know you mean it. Just, I think, given the circumstances, especially we had so few students, like I said,
Yeah.
they want to get to the program. I mean, so I would have focused on that part.
Yeah.
But also it's just ironic, because really it's the things we say in online education not to do. Like, we just don't have someone just talking for even from a teaching standpoint. So,
Right.
so anyway, but I think, it's we start it and then we'll adjust. We'll adjust and
We'll adjust.
yeah.
All right.
Appreciate everyone's help. So
I think education are the only ones left talking. So I might jump in and see
okay.
how they're doing.
I'm gonna pop off, Melissa. Thank you so much. This was great, and really great job pulling this all together.
Yeah, well, let's get together soon and talk about what's her name? Katie's doing for you too.
Yeah, fantastic. Would love that.
All
They've been
right.
on it. All right.
Good
Talk to you
night,
soon,
everybody.
We'll see you, everybody.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye-bye.